500 million people use an Office suite owned by a Chinese company that is legally required to hand your documents to the Chinese government on request. Not theoretically required, legally required. China's national intelligence law, enacted in 2017, compels Chinese companies to assist government intelligence gathering when asked. Kingsoft is a Chinese company. WPS Office is their product. The United States, United Kingdom, and Australian governments have all banned WPS Office on sensitive systems, and yet 500 million people write their documents inside it every day. But here's where it gets interesting. The two alternatives, people consider each have their own problems. LibreOffice is completely free, backed by a German non-profit, and has 200 million users, but it breaks every Word document you open from work. And OnlyOffice has the best Microsoft compatibility of any free alternative, but its founder is Russian, and the desktop app requires internet activation for software that's supposed to be open source. OnlyOffice, LibreOffice, WPS Office. I went through the communities, the privacy policies, and the ownership structures behind all three. And that's when I started getting suspicious. Let's start with the one that 500 million people apparently trust with their documents. WPS Office. Chu Bojan founded Kingsoft in 1988 in China. WPS started as a word processing system, rebranded WPS Office in 2013. Cross-platform on everything. 500 million users, concentrated heavily in Asia. Xiaomi owns a 17% stake. The Microsoft Office compatibility is excellent. Interface is an Office clone. DOCX and XLSX files open correctly. PDF tools built in. On paper, WPS Office looks like a perfectly good free alternative, but the ownership structure makes it impossible to recommend for Western users handling anything remotely sensitive. China's national intelligence law doesn't have exceptions. It doesn't have an appeals process that Western companies would recognize. When the Chinese government requests access to data held by a Chinese company, the company complies. That's not speculation. That's the legal framework Kingsoft operates within. The free version bombards you with ads. Upgrade prompts are constant and disruptive. Pop-up windows interrupt your work mid-sentence. Installers bundle unwanted software that most users don't realize they're agreeing to install. One user reported finding 3 additional programs on their system after a WPS update. Telemetry collection is extensive with a privacy policy so vague that what Kingsoft actually collects and shares remains unclear. Data is stored on Chinese servers. Under Chinese law, accessible to the Chinese government. For users in Asia, where WPS dominates and the geopolitical dynamics are different, WPS Office is functional. For Western users, the legal exposure alone should disqualify it. But if WPS is out, what's left? The most popular alternative is LibreOffice, and for good reason. The Document Foundation forked LibreOffice from OpenOffice in 2010 after Oracle acquired Sun Microsystems and the open source community saw the writing on the wall. German non-profit, no shareholders, no venture capital, funded by donations, 200 million active users, 6 applications, Writer, Calc, Impress, Draw, Math, Base, Macros, Pivot Tables, Mail Merge, all included. Completely free forever, no subscriptions, no trial periods, no telemetry, no ads. The French and Italian governments migrated to LibreOffice. Schools and NGOs worldwide followed. 15 years of transparent, consistent delivery with 0 corporate betrayals. No other Office suite in this comparison can say that. But there's a problem that the LibreOffice community doesn't enjoy discussing. Microsoft Office compatibility is poor, and in a world where DOCX is the standard, that's not a minor inconvenience. It's a professional barrier. Word documents open with broken formatting, fonts substituted, margins shifted, images moved. Users describe the same experience over and over. Open a DOCX from work. Formatting broken? Send it back edited. Colleague asks why it looks different. Revert to Microsoft Office. The interface looks like Office 2003. Development is volunteer-driven, which means slower progress than commercial alternatives. The community argues the dated interface is a feature, not a bug. Fair enough, but it limits adoption among anyone who expects modern software design. For anyone who controls their own document workflow and doesn't need Microsoft format compatibility, LibreOffice is exceptional. The privacy track record is unmatched. The feature set is comprehensive, the cost is zero. But if you need DOCX files to open correctly and you've just ruled out WPS Office, one option remains. OnlyOffice, Ascensio System SIA, started as TeamLab in 2009, founded by Alexander Moskalev, registered in Latvia, rebranded OnlyOffice in 2014. Over 10 million users globally. Version 8.2, shipped December 2024. The defining feature is Microsoft Office compatibility. DOCX files open perfectly. Formatting preserved, fonts correct, layouts intact. The broken document problem that plagues LibreOffice essentially doesn't exist in OnlyOffice. The interface deliberately clones Microsoft Office. Same ribbon, same menu structure. An Office user can switch immediately with zero learning curve. The open source community calls it soulless and lacking originality, but for practical adoption, eliminating the switching cost is smart. Real-time collaboration is built in. Nextcloud and OwnCloud integration works seamlessly. For organizations that want self-hosted document editing without routing everything through Google or Microsoft servers, OnlyOffice plus Nextcloud is the best free option available. Your documents stay on your server. Your data stays under your control. That combination is why privacy-conscious organizations are adopting OnlyOffice despite the geopolitical questions, but OnlyOffice has friction that needs acknowledging. Moskalev is Russian. During the Russia-Ukraine conflict, organizations questioned whether their documents were safe. Ascensio clarified independence from the Russian government, but for some organizations, the perceived geopolitical risk was enough to walk away entirely. The desktop editors require internet activation even for offline use. For software marketed as free and open source, requiring an internet connection to activate feels like DRM. It's a small friction, but the kind that erodes trust over time. The Community Edition is free for individual desktop editing. Collaboration features require server setup. This isn't WPS Cloud where you sign in and share. You need technical knowledge to deploy OnlyOffice docs on a server. Or you pay for the Enterprise Edition. The free tier does the job for solo users. For teams, it requires either skill or money. The geopolitical concern is legitimate for some organizations and irrelevant for individuals. Compared to WPS Office, where the legal framework explicitly requires government cooperation, OnlyOffice's situation is a question of perception rather than statute. The Russian founder concern is real. It's also categorically different from Chinese data law compliance. Lovely. Right, so here's where I land. 3 Office suites, 3 different compromises. And trust is the dividing line. LibreOffice is the trust winner, completely free, open source, no telemetry, no corporate overlord. 15 years of transparency from a German non-profit. The compatibility gap with Microsoft formats is real, but if you control your document workflow or can avoid DOCX dependency, nothing else matches this combination of features and integrity. OnlyOffice is the compatibility bridge. Best DOCX fidelity among free alternatives. Modern interface. Self-hosted collaboration through Nextcloud. The geopolitical concern exists, the internet activation friction exists, but for anyone who needs free software that actually opens Microsoft documents correctly, OnlyOffice solves the problem LibreOffice hasn't. WPS Office is the one to avoid. Perfect compatibility means nothing when the company is legally required to hand your documents to a government on request. Banned by Western intelligence agencies for a reason. The ads, the bloatware, and the vague privacy policy are secondary concerns when the primary concern is a national intelligence law with no exceptions. One respects your privacy but breaks your files. One fixes your files but has a Russian founder. And one works perfectly but is legally obligated to share your documents with Beijing. Every choice is a trade-off. At least now you know what you're trading.